What's up guys, this is Tariq here from smartbiketrainers.com. This is the Elite NERO Interactive Smart Rollers. If you are familiar with the Elite Quick Motion Rollers, this one probably look very familiar and almost look the same. The Quick Motion has 3-level magnetic resistance, where the NERO is fully interactive, meaning it communicates with third-party apps using NT+, Bluetooth, and FTMS, and can be used in erg mode or slope mode. And the Elite NERO costs $899 US. But if you keep your eyes on the price tracker available in Smart Bike Trainers, you might find a good deal on one there. Actually, before you buy any smart trainer, make sure you go and visit smartbiketrainers.com and click on the trainer deals on the top navigation menu, and you might find yourself a good deal on a smart trainer or a smart bike. Okay, let's talk about the NERO, but let me first get rid of this thing here. Okay, well that worked. I want to set the stage here before getting into all the details. The NERO is not a direct drive trainer or a wheel-on trainer. You're looking at rollers here. You have to balance on them, keep your focus, and there's a risk of falling off and breaking your head or TV or freaking out your cat and dog. Also, the specs tend to come down a bit on smart rollers, so don't expect to get the same performance as a direct drive trainer. And I think rollers can be very good complementary tool to a direct drive trainer. You can easily make a case for owning both actually. The NERO can simulate slope up to 7%. This is pretty typical for rollers. Having a lot of resistance can slow down your cadence, and very slow cadence on rollers can result of you falling off. Maximum resistance on these can vary per rider. The advertised range is 830 at 40 km per hour or 1,350 watts at 60 km per hour. Your weight, tires, rolling resistance play a role on all of that. The NERO is pretty simple to set up. You take it out of the box, read the manual, which I did not do of course, but I did look at the measurement here, and I did not measure my bike or anything. I kind of just eyeballed it and it worked just fine. Basically, you want to have the front axle over the center of the front rollers and rear wheel sandwiched between the two back rollers. But again, I ride rollers all the time, so I kind of know how to set these things up. But if you are, or if this is your first rollers, I highly recommend you do read the manual and measure the wheelbase like shown in the manual. And if you do it wrong, you will find out pretty quick. The front rollers has 11 different positions, so you can use it with a mountain bike, road bike, or a TT bike. The NERO is foldable, and it folds pretty nice for storage or travel or to take it to a race. I do wish Elite made some kind of a strap to keep everything tied together when folded. It makes it easier to carry that way and prevent unintended or unintentional unfolding of the unit. By the way, you can use it unplugged as well, but you are not going to get any resistance, and it will just work like a classic rollers. You will find the NERO a little easier to ride than traditional rollers, and that's because of two main features. The front roller itself is parabolically shaped. There is a little curve towards the edges. If you accidentally go too far to the right or left, it will redirect you or the front wheel back in the right direction. I try to demonstrate that here to see what I mean. Also, the NERO has a floating system to absorb any sudden movement. It makes it easier to ride, especially for newbies, and keeps you in a nice stable state and just concentrate on riding. It also makes getting out of the saddle and standing much easier. The road feel felt pretty good. Elite added 6-pound flywheel in each roller in the back to provide some momentum and inertia. If there is one thing rollers do and do well, it's that good and close to a realistic road feel. There's also this little fold down step. It's there to help you get on and off the rollers. Personally, I could not use it or found it awkward to use. I'm just used to getting on rollers in a certain way, and having that step made things a little awkward for me. It's just a personal thing. I guess you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and I can't believe I said that. I'm not that old. It's listed as a feature though, and some seems to like having that step. In slope mode, I found it to be good. It responded well to changes in Zwift, and like I said, it only goes up to simulating 7% gradient, so plenty enough to make you feel some of the hills. Okay, with all this out of the way, let's take a look at power accuracy and erg mode. The NERO broadcasts power, but it's not going to be accurate. Looking at the spec sheet that I received from Elite and the description on the website, Elite does not even list power accuracy claims. Just like other rollers I reviewed on this channel, this is typical with smart rollers as of 2019, and they are generally best used with your own power meter. You can link your power meter to the NERO, and the rollers will interact with your power meter and adjust resistance when doing a workout in erg mode based on power from your power meter. Honestly, I am okay with that, and I actually prefer to have that option rather than dealing with bad, inaccurate power measurement, frequent calibration, keeping tire pressure consistent, and all these different things. So the NERO can estimate power. This is all going to vary per rider, the information you input into the app, and calibration. I tested it for a quick 5 minutes and it wasn't accurate, and I wasn't expecting anything different. Now let's move on and take a look at the power match option. You compare your own power meter to the NERO using the Elite training app. Here I linked it to my Osceola pedals. This half power option you see here is meant for single-sided power meters or dual-sided power meters that broadcast one side when using Bluetooth, like PowerTap for example. But since I have Osceola, that's not an issue. In erg mode, the NERO does smooth out the power and you will notice a delay. There are two kinds of delays. The first delay is in resistance. So as you enter each interval, the resistance will take a little time to kick in. This is not necessarily a bad thing. On rollers, you don't want that resistance to kick in very fast. The second delay is in power, so as you feel that resistance change, the NERO will take a little time to broadcast that correct power. So here's an example in Zwift. As I am going from 122 watts to the next block at 205 watts, it took the NERO a good 20 seconds to get me there. But in reality, I was already pushing over 200 watts about 10 seconds ago. And to help explain this, let's take a look at another workout. So looking at this chart, this data is from the NERO. The interval started at 551.28 and I reached my target watts at 551.55. So that's about 27 seconds delay. Now, if I look at the data from my power meter to see when I actually reached my target power, from the start of the interval until I reached my target power, that was about 14 seconds. So there's a little over 10 seconds delay between the NERO and my power meter. Now, per Elite, this latency is due to the fact that the power meter signal has to go to the NERO and travel to Zwift. I think this can be improved a bit though. In erg mode, the NERO did not do well when switching to a bigger gear. As you see here, my target was above 200 watts and the NERO could not get me there when I switched to the big ring in the front. And my power dropped to 160 to 180 watts. But as soon as I switched back to the small chainring, the power went back up to my target watts immediately. The NERO can also link to your cadence if you have a cadence sensor, or if your cadence or your power meter broadcast cadence. But that also did not work well. It was a bit all over the place. As for noise, the NERO itself does not make much noise, but you have your bike wheels in contact with 3 rollers, so it will make a little bit of noise. But let's listen to it. I didn't think it was noisy. With good tires, I think you will be fine, but if you live in an apartment and worry about noise, rollers in general might not be a good idea. Okay, in summary, if you are looking for rollers, something that is interactive, easy to use, and looking for a variety in training and to work on your balance, pedal smoothness, something that is easy to carry and take with you to races, the NERO is an option for you. If you get a hold of one of these rollers, let me know what you think down in the comment section. Okay, hope you find this review helpful. Hit the like button if you did, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.